Welcome to the School of Love, the place where miracles are normal. Hello, and welcome to the School of Love, the place where we learn practical tools based on scientific research and personal experience towards improving ourselves, living life to its fullest, and contributing to the best of our abilities to the world around us. I am Dr. Maria Grajdian, and I'm a professor of media studies and anthropology at Hiroshima University. In my free time, I am doing my best to guide you in building up a life of contentment, joy, and fulfillment while applying lessons learned in school to overcome the difficulties, challenges, and insecurities of the real world. In today's video, I talk about what happens when we fight with someone we love or at least care about as part of a series titled Things I Have Learned from My Kids. I have been creating this series of videos, Things I Have Learned from My Kids, by recollecting crucial learning moments from my children, from my interaction with my children, particularly with my daughter, for reasons which are still unclear to me, throughout the years. The series Things I Have Learned from My Kids includes short videos about very, very pragmatic approaches to quotidian challenges and sadnesses seen from the perspective of my daughter. Of course, there is a specific amount of rationalization and clarification involved in scripting, shooting, and editing of the videos, but the main ideas are those shared with me by my kids, then again, by my daughter, when they were somewhere between 4 years and 7 years old. But now, first things first, that is, 2 disclaimers. The first disclaimer serves to strongly emphasize the fact that this YouTube channel, The School of Love, is not part of my research and educational activities at Hiroshima University. It is nonetheless part of my privilege, joy, and sense of duty to propagate and implement knowledge, information, as well as motivation and inspiration outside the limited framework of academic endeavors. Together, we can build up a better tomorrow for as many of us as possible. The second disclaimer relates to the fact that I am a trained musician and musicologist, not a psychologist, therapist, or counselor. The ideas I am sharing in my videos reflect my deep-going preoccupation with life, my own life and other people's lives, and express the results of my experiences, research, and for better or for worse, my failures, as well as my recovery from those failures, recovery which is still ongoing. The ideas expressed in the videos on this channel named The School of Love cannot and may not and must not replace the consultation with specialists in whichever areas of your life you might have questions or you might struggle with. If you are new to the channel, at this moment I would like to ask you to please consider subscribing, sharing, liking, commenting. Thank you very, very much. This helps us not only with that mysterious algorithm which seems to dominate the YouTube galaxy, but also with contributing to the expansion of the community of humans doing their best to impact positively the world and those around them by discovering their authentic selves and living life wholeheartedly. Thanks again. And now back to the real topic of this video, which is what happens when we fight with someone we care about or someone we love. For instance, what happens when my daughter feels the need to fight back, to say no, and to explain me why the no is there. So what happens when we fight with someone we love or at least we care about, and how do we deal with it? And so, of course, when children are small, they do everything in their power to make you love them. It's part of the so-called fawn response later on in trauma responses. So, in trauma responses, we have four basic ways of responding: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fawn is the one in which we try to appease the person who's angry at us. And when children are small, fawning, appeasing their parent, appeasing their parental figure, appeasing their caregivers, is the first manner by which they try to get their needs met. But the older they get, the older we talk here in terms of 4, 5, 6 years old, the more they discover they're independent from you, So, and they are their own self. The more they will start to assert their independence, and the more they will start to assert their own self as being a separate entity from you as a parent. And of course, there are fights ensuing. Yeah? I'm not talking about the tantrums, which are these hysterical outbursts because in public usually, because parents don't want to submit to whatever they're asking, and usually they are kind of irrational requests. I'm not talking about tantrums. I'm talking about having different opinions, having different positions, different stances on the same issue, and defending it. And well, our duty as parents is to allow those differences to emerge and to exist, and to encourage children to have their own views on the world, on themselves, on the others. However, because we live together in the same household, those differences will inevitably lead to clashes. And well, I was much younger than today. I didn't have so much life experience, and by all means, I didn't have all this knowledge which I have gathered afterwards by reading books, by reading scientific papers, and by confronting myself with all these inner demons, which again we all have. And back then I didn't have all those experience, both theoretical and practical. And I remember she telling me that, you know, when I fight with you, when I fight with you, I don't fight with you. I'm actually defending my position. And it's not that I stop loving you. It's not that I start hating you. I know I love you, and I'll forever love you. It's so sweet to hear that from your own child. But I think differently in this matter. And she still has this look on in her eyes. Even nowadays, she's 15 years old now, and even nowadays she looks at me with big eyes. So I try to explain her something. I'm not getting into details what kind of things we have different opinions on. And I try to explain her my point, and she looks at me with the same big eyes, and I can hear the thoughts reflected in her eyes, something like, my mother is great, my mother, she knows everything, but there are things she simply cannot grasp. And this is what she was trying to tell me back then as well. It's like, I have my ideas, you have your ideas. Our ideas are fighting. It's not you and me fighting. That's very important. I was recently doing a course on negotiation and negotiation skills and negotiation techniques and strategies. And this was one of the first points they were teaching. When you negotiate, when you have a conflict, separate the problem from the person. You're not trying to annihilate the problem, the person. You're not trying to annihilate the person. You're not trying to convince the person. You're trying to solve the problem. The problem, not the person. Fundamental. Imagine having this kind of insight when you were a child. And I suppose many of us have had this insight, just it was crushed by people who didn't know any better than that, right? It's not about blaming anyone. It's about observing that if we allow children when they are small to express themselves freely, to share with us their thoughts, they will deliver insights and wisdoms which surpass by far their biological age. So the second point relates to the first one. So the first one is that we always remember, when we have a different opinion with someone, we always remember we love that person. And then we love that person, but we fight about something. We don't fight with the person. We fight about something. And we are very careful not to hurt the person. We keep our mind on the object of our discussion. We don't fight the person. We don't hurt the person. We look for solutions which are mutually beneficial. We don't try to take to take advantage of that person. We do not take advantage of that person because we love them. We protect them. And she is like very, very powerful. If you come to think of it, is at the forefront of the entire procedure is that we love the person, that we do not hurt the person, but we defend our worldview, our point of view, our idea, and we communicate that idea to someone whom we love and who happens in that very moment to have a different opinion on something which is very important to us. That's why we don't give up that opinion. So later on, when she grew up, as I said, she's 15 nowadays, she has the same stance. It's because I love you that I share this with you. I'm not trying to convince you, which is very important. Like in lots of work setups, you'll have the two parties or several parties involved. They will try to convince the other party that they are right. This is wrong. A discussion, a negotiation should take place with people exchanging, in the first place at least, in the first stage at least, exchanging opinions and showing their own opinions, not trying to convince each other. And she already had this insight back then, and she's behaving the same nowadays, although I've never taught her this. And number 5, which is equally important, is that we hug very strongly and for a long while at the end. This kind of, bearing the how do they call it, the hatchet of war, bearing the hatchet of war and smoking the pipe of peace. This is for her, like, we hug, and we hug very strongly and for a very long while, and we assure each other that we love each other, that we are there for each other, even if sometimes we have different opinions, because we're not clones of each other. It's normal to have different opinions. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. I think it was for me, this kind of experience, a very powerful experience, which show me how important it is to allow children to express themselves and to have this freedom and confidence both in themselves and in us as parents to share with us their ideas, their innermost ideas, and we have to respect that level and never ever use it against them in moments of frustration. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'm, as always, happy to share with you from my experiences and from the insights I'm receiving from others. I'm looking forward to welcoming you very soon again here. Love and peace to you all.